Hello, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving. You're probably listening to this after Thanksgiving, but I'm recording it Thanksgiving morning, so I could get it to you as early as possible. This will be my last podcast until after kickoff. So this is prediction time, how I think this game's going to go. And to be frank, I don't have a strong feeling one way or another. Cincinnati is an absolutely desperate team that if they get one more conference loss, again, I don't think they can win the division, so they're going to be worried about getting in the wild card through tiebreakers of conference wins, and they already have 5 losses. They're more or less eliminated, so I expect a desperate team. I assume that's why Vegas has this as a 3-point favorite in Cincinnati's direction. I still think that number's too big. I expect a very close game, but a very dangerous game. Now, first off, the Steelers have the special teams advantage, a massive kicker advantage. And if it is going to be a close game, that could absolutely matter, especially if the Steelers' red zone woes continue. Although Cincinnati not only is bad with red zone defense, they're horrendous. And especially the last 3 weeks have been unbelievably bad, like an 85% conversion rate in the red zone. So I think we're going to learn a lot about the Steelers' offense in this one. If they really struggle, not only in the red zone, but overall, it might be time to worry. This is a bad defense. It's Trey Hendrickson and not much else. And you can run, you can throw, and I expect a fair amount of points in this game. So again, kicking game favors the Steelers. Cincinnati's good with penalties. They're okay with turnovers. Turnover margin does favor Pittsburgh, and Burrow has thrown some to the Steelers over the years, but I don't expect that to be a massive advantage. I don't think Burrow's prime for a bunch of interceptions. He's playing so well. Let's stick on that side of the ball. Now, how I would handle this is not what the Steelers usually do in coverage, but I would play a lot of too high safeties, lighter boxes. I would not move Porter. I just right it with the corners. And wherever Higgins lines up, fine. Wherever Chase lines up, fine. If by chance one of them is roasting Jackson or vice versa, you can change that tune as the game goes on. But I do not want big plays. I want the Bengals to have long, sustained drives, whether that's running against light boxes or tackle the catch. Both these guys are really good after the catch. Gesicki can stretch the seam as well from the tight end position. And I want to rush for, and really, if I'm Tomlin after that Browns game where the D-line of Cleveland, namely Myles Garrett, outplayed your stars, I'd be poking at Cam and Watt and all those guys all week long, and actually all 10 days long. Man, need more out of you guys, and I expect them to come through. I really think the stars of this game when we get together after the final whistle will be the Steelers' defensive line against a not-so-great O-line. But Burrow is hard to get on the ground. He recognizes blitz extremely well, which is why I wouldn't blitz him much. People are rarely blitzing him. I would put all the faith in the front four to win over and over in the pass rush game. That's why you're here. That's why you're highly paid. That's why you're going to Pro Bowls, et cetera, et cetera. Tackle the catch, team speed. Steelers are good at that stuff. Don't allow big plays. And if you lose the time of possession battle, so be it. Burrow can be very patient to move the ball down the field, in a dink and dunk manner. Okay. And if it's getting to the point where that's too much, then you can always change things up, go back to your single high, your cover 3 stuff. But I would really put the onus of the football game on your defensive line. I expect Watt to have a big game against Mims. I don't know as we're recording this, is it going to be Highsmith or not? Is it going to be Orlando Brown or not on the left side? I think that's a massive situation here because if Brown plays, they won't help him and they'll help against Watt much more. But they're going to help against Watt no matter what. Everybody does. I think Cam Hayward against their guard, Volson, is a prime matchup for interior pressure, run defense. I think Hayward might be the MVP of this game when it's all said and done. But I do expect the Bengals to move the football, and they score on everybody, and they're really, really good on that side of the ball, especially the passing game. They're a very high pass percentage team. Makes sense. Higgins is probably having the best year of his career. Chase very well could be the best wide receiver in the league. Burrow's playing better than anyone, really. The line is okay. Chase Brown is getting all the work out of the back. I mean, he's the only one touching the ball in there amongst their running backs. And he's been good. He's a nice find. He's an explosive player. So I do think the Steelers try to keep an umbrella on things, be aggressive, tackling the catch. Don't try to fool Burrow with blitzes and exotic coverages. I think you play it pretty standard, and you hope that they tip balls and holding calls and, make them sustain long drives. And they're very capable, but they won't probably get to 30 doing that. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA, head to BetOnline today and get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. Okay, when the Steelers have the ball, again, I think this will be a very telling game. Is this a good offense, or is this an offense we really need to worry about? Because Cincinnati's had some bad moments, and sometimes you can watch their tape and be like, okay, this is a pretty solid defense, and they're just screwing things up late or whatever. They allow a ton of points in the second half. They also score a ton of points in the second half. They allow a ton of points at the end of the half as well. So where I'm going with this is I don't have a great strategy of the Steelers need to do this to beat this team, because I think you can have success in a myriad of ways against this team, this defense. Now, Darnell Washington to me would be camped out next to Dan Moore. If you look at Hendrickson, everyone doubles him and tries to take him away. By far their best player, but he still leads the league in sacks. Like, this isn't a new idea against the Bengals. Oh, maybe we should help on Hendrickson. Everyone does, because they have nothing else. I mean, their next best pass rusher has 2 sacks, and Hendrickson's leading the league with 11.5. So everyone does this, and he still produces. But if you go back and look where he produces, they've been in clusters against bad teams. I think he had 4 sacks against the Raiders. He had 2 against Cleveland when it was Watson and they had backups galore at tackle. The good teams have not let him destroy games. And I think if you park Washington on his side, and he'll come out on Dan Moore's side more often than not, you should be able to take away their best player on defense by a wide margin, to be honest with you. Now, they have some secondary injuries. Some young corners don't look like they're going to play. Hill and Turner, both Michigan kids, were drafted high. I don't see a great answer for Pickens, so I'm sure that the Steelers will take shots. I would assume just the mentality of the head coach, the offensive coordinator, etc. This is going to be run the ball, run the ball, run the ball type of game. Keep Burrow off the field. That's great. But I also think you're going to have to be pretty effective through the air just to keep up with the Bengals offense. And I expect Wilson will be. I think I mentioned this yesterday, that the Steelers allow the fewest rushing yards in the league to quarterbacks. The Bengals are by far the most. So maybe you're more inclined to have a Fields package and lean on that a little bit more. Okay, I could get that for this game. I do expect Wilson to be much better in the red zone. They're also really poor against tight ends. If you remember, Freiermuth had pretty pedestrian season last year, except for the one Bengals game where he went insane. Maybe this is a big Muth game. I could see that. I also think Warren I'm going to say deserves. Yeah, deserves a little bit bigger slice of the running back pie, that he's the best back they have right now. So I'd like to get him involved in both the run and pass game even more. But I think the Steelers' D-line or offensive line, particularly on the interior, should be the better unit, but I can't say I'm extremely confident about that. I mean, probably, maybe, who knows? I had the Steelers win this game 24-23. I didn't realize when I made my pick that that's like right at the over-under. If this game gets into the 30s, I absolutely think that favors the Bengals, although they've lost a lot of those games. They really have found ways to lose, especially close games. And you'd have to think that, well, I don't think they're particularly well coached, but I don't think they're going to have a trend of being 1-6 in one-score games either. I mean, I think that they'll right that ship to some degree, hopefully not this week. And if you can knock these guys out, if you can win this game, you basically knock out Burrow out of the playoffs, which is wonderful. And week 18, when they come here, what will Cincinnati really have to play for? So you kind of win on two fronts. In the end, I'm just kind of trusting Tomlin on this one, trusting the division familiarity. I love, unlike last week, that the Steelers have 10 days to prepare. And I bet Cam Hayward and the trickle-down effect on the defensive front is stewing. You know, how they played on a national audience last Thursday is not how this D-line plays. And I expect the defensive line to rule the day. But Burrow very well could. He's awesome. So, very frightened about this game. We'll see how it goes. I will be back. Record it, that evening, of course. All right, guys, and I hope your Thanksgiving was great, and over and out.